Hi, friends. This is Joe, and this is episode number 182 of the Dekahedron RPG podcast. And this is our celebratory third year anniversary. And as always on the anniversaries, I like to have James come on and celebrate with me. He was with me in the beginning, and we're still the best of friends. And hello, James.
Hello, Joseph, and how has this year been going?
This year has, well, actually, that's actually a pretty good little segue. So I just came back from vacation, and because of that, this episode is really a little late. Our third year anniversary was actually towards the end of September, but at that time I was in Iceland, and it was a very cool vacation. Cool, ha ha ha. But it was a really neat vacation, and I saw a lot of neat things. Probably the neatest thing from a gaming point of view is I was on the land that Eric the Red lived on. And, I saw where Leif Erikson was born. And that was just really cool. And they have a reconstruction of the cottage there, but they also have the archaeological dig of the original cottage. And that was just so cool and made me want to run the game of Vikings. But that's my year. How about yours?
Same thing, just continuing. I have a new dog, driving us crazy. But that's
Does
about
it have a
it.
cool name? Your last dog was Loki, and that was a really cool name.
A little more conventional.
Pardon me.
A little
Oh,
more conventional. Gypsy Rose.
Gypsy Rose. That's it reminds me of the Traveler campaign that we ran, where all the ships were something Rose. Your ship was the Compass Rose, and yeah, just it reminds me of that.
Yeah, let's put it this way. It took me about 2 months before I realized, oh shit, that is the name of Rose was the part name of the ship we were flying. I don't know if it was subconscious or what.
Yeah, because it was the Rose Clan of pirates, and or it just sounded nice. Yeah. Okay. So because we're in OSR October, uh, we're going to make our anniversary edition about OSR October, and because I've been recording my episodes on their own, pretty much I'm just going to throw the topics at you, and we're going to have to hear what you have to say. And I'm stealing the topics from the Vagabond GM blog. Yeah. And so the very first topic is your favorite, your most notable, your whatever, your most hated. It doesn't, whatever you want to talk about, but an OSR game that you want to talk about for a few seconds.
Okay. I'm going to start with the most hated one. I loved playing it. I just hated the concept of it. Call of Cthulhu. Your character slowly went mad. And it's like anyone who's read Cthulhu can understand the creatures and the concepts. So you we played the 1920s version, I think, of the time frame you were in. So as you run across these strange books, or you run into the henchmen with the octopus heads, or what are the other strange concoctions he came up with in his head, you you get an insanity point keep adding up. I forget what the amount was, but after so many points, you went insane and could no longer be the character.
So I've never played it. I've never been much of a H.P. Lovecraft fan. I read one story of his when I was coming back from basic training. When I was going back home, I ran into the BX, and they had a amazing science fiction or astonishing, whatever. One of them had an H.P. Lovecraft story, and I took it home to Rhode Island, where my family lived, and I was reading the story, and it's about this guy having these strange visions and everything, and then at the end he like realizes that what he's seeing is Newport, and I just like look around me, and right there in Rhode Island, I'm like, huh? This guy's not for me. So I've never read Lovecraft. I never played Lovecraft. Uh, so I can't relate other than that is your most hated, and that is the one you want to talk about. Okay, so the second week for OSR October is supposed to be monster or setting. And of course, you could even do, no, I lied. Yeah, monster or setting. You could even do both if you wanted to.
Okay. I'm going to do setting, but only people that are going to know this setting are people who went to Total Confusion over the years. The realm was called TC Realms. It was an in-house um, campaign. Uh, it ended probably about 8 or 9 years ago, but in that game, I got up to a 15th level cleric, and the concept was it was a world. The modules were set up by the people who were running the convention, and they had it had some weird concepts on some years. For a series, I think it was 5 years running. It was campaigns to find the makings of a perfect sandwich. We went under the sea to get sea lettuce. We went to the tops of mountain to get something else. I can't remember all of them, but there were they'd have the small arcs. There's at one point in time they were doing a lot of undead stuff, and a lot of the undead had anti-turning devices on them, so you could not turn them. So it was a lot of different concepts that you would not see in most campaigns.
All right. So that sandwich thing that you talked about, one of the anchorite podcasters is a guy named Merc the Meek, and he hosts a podcast called Merc the Meek. Great podcast, I recommend it. But earlier this year, or maybe it was late last year, he did a series about like edible dungeons and
Hmm.
about going to dungeons to look for ingredients and stuff for recipes. So that reminded me of that. So that's actually kind of funny. All right. So the third week for OSR October is about a rule. So your favorite rule, your most hated rule, your most forgotten rule, whatever. What old school rule do springs to mind?
Ooh, this is a very niche one, and I believe it's in. I'm going to do two. Unearthed Arcana. I believe it
Okay.
was the samurai got a +1 to their one weapon addition because of the sharpness of it. But,
So not to be that guy, but
uh
Samurai was an Oriental Adventures, not Unearthed Arcana. Unearthed Arcana introduced the
Cavalier.
Cavalier.
Yeah.
So I don't
But
know, maybe
maybe
that's what you're thinking about, or if you're thinking about Oriental Adventures.
it may have been the Orient Ventures. Like I said, it's something that always stuck in the back of my head, and I don't know why, because I didn't play a samurai until um, Wizards of the Coast started their own league campaigns, whatever you want to call that. I forget the proper name for it, but that's one of them. And the other one from a Dragon magazine, and I never got to do it, was there was one article about creating your character and getting anything you want, but you had to pay points for everything. If you wanted magic, it was 10% more experience points you need to go up a level. If you want to do two-handed fighting, you had to. So it was a point based. It was percentage based on all the skills and abilities that you wanted to steal from magic users, clerics, or thieves, or rangers.
So in the OSR community, there is a guy called Aaron Smale,
Yeah.
and he has an article called "The More Perfect Class," and he references that article on Dragon that you're talking about. But he updated it, and he has a spreadsheet to go with it. And you actually have used it. I just didn't tell you we were using it. But we had a game a few years ago, and you wanted to play a wood elf, and that's how I made the character class was using.
Can
that article,
can
Building
you
a More
send me a
Perfect
link?
Class. I will put a link in the show notes for that.
Thank you. Now, what was the last question? There's 4 of them, right?
Yep. Nope, there's 5 of them actually.
Okay.
There are 5, and so the next one is magic item. What is your most notable old school magic item?
I'm gonna say this is back to when, actually, I think it was in when me and you originally started, and it was a Monty Hall campaign. You will say that in some aspect. +5 holy.
Yeah, if I was GMing, it was a Monty Hall campaign. Yes, teenage me was very Monty Hallish and very Munchkin-y. So, yeah.
+5 holy Avenger was the was my favorite at that point in time. Over the years, it has changed to different things, of course. I think there's there's 1 or 2 things that I've talked to a dungeon master to set up, and I believe this is yours as well. I also had made a wizard with a staff that had retractable daggers at each end. Not really magic; it was more mechanical on that aspect, I think. And I believe that was you who we did it.
It sounds familiar. It might have been. I mean, I don't have a very clear, vivid memory of it, but it sounds familiar. So yeah, I believe that. All right, and the last week of OSR October is spell or magic system. So if you have a different magic system that you're a particular fan of, you can talk about that, or just your favorite spell.
I'm not remembering the name of the book, and this is fantasy book. I don't believe it's a system. There was a book where, oh, I just got it. Name of the Wind is the name of the first book. It is a series. I'm not going to remember the series name, but it worked on the idea. You went through a lot of training to use it, but it was manipulating words for magical outcomes. You would either create an item, physically create the item, and then use words to infuse it with powers, or you'd actually use words to create an effect. I think that would have been my favorite, but I don't believe it was ever created for any RPG game that I could think of. But it was an interesting
Well,
read.
a few years ago, when we were doing back and forth in emails, I was designing a system like that, where instead of wizards having spells memorized, it would all be the an artificer
Yep.
more or less. But I had a point system for how much each device would cost and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if you're remembering that, or if I was just recreating something that was already in a book somewhere.
I
All right,
I know
that's
you.
it.
Yeah, I know you did not read that book because I suggested it to you, and you have this habit of reading very old books.
My guess is if you suggested a book and I dismissed it, it was probably one of those where it was magic in the modern day, and I hate those with a passion. I refuse to read those.
Oh no, and I know you're going to probably cut it. That was Harry Dresden I suggested, but no, it wasn't that. It was Name of the Wind, and it was set in a
No, I won't cut that.
it was set not Victorian. That's the best way I'd say it. It was medieval Victorian style. Name of the Wind is
So
the book.
steampunk.
No, even
All
earlier,
right.
but yes, we'll leave it at that. If someone wants to read it, I'd love to hear their review, or just send a message on the feedback.
Feedback at dekahedron.com, spelled Dekahedron with a K. All right, James, thank you very much for joining me.
Hopefully this was an enjoyable review, and we'll see what goes on. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of time. Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for joining me. Everyone watching and or listening, thanks for joining us. Do have a wonderful week coming up. And do send that feedback at dekahedron.com. You can call the feedback line, which is 562-774-2278, I believe. That's 562-RPG cast. All that information and more is up on the screen right now if you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, it's in the show notes. Love to hear from you. Again, James, thanks for joining. And until next time, happy gaming, happy life. Bye.
Bye.